Facebook, YouTube, out on the socials. Good to see you again this week. We're going to let in our folks on the Zoom call as well right now. Admit everyone. Welcome everyone on Zoom. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining. Hey there. Nice to see some new faces here this week, as well as our old familiar faces. I'm sure we have a lot of people that are not on camera as well, but good to see all you guys. Yeah, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to have a nice audience. We love to see the regulars. We love to see the newbies, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation today. I'm going to spotlight myself. I'm going to spotlight our guest for the day. I'll give an intro to the program. If you're out of there on the socials and you haven't seen this before, sit tight. We're going to get warmed up here momentarily. I'll give an intro to the program. We like to put some links into the chats on the socials so that you could jump on the Zoom if it's possible. If you're here in the room, we do try to open it up to conversation if it makes sense. No pressure to talk or engage, but if you'd like to, you can jump in and you raise your hand, make a comment in the chat, and be part of the conversation. Aside from that, we'll take it ourselves from the top. Let me introduce the program so you know what we're doing here, and then we'll get rolling. So this is Piano Tech Radio Hour. We gather here every Saturday to meet with and learn from the most fascinating and knowledgeable folks in the music world. This could include manufacturers of instruments, rebuilders, musicians, makers of instruments other than the piano, and of course, piano techs. Our mutual goal here is to become better at our craft and to help each other and to create an ever more musical world together. Piano Tech Radio Hour is brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses. That's an online learning resource that brings you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more at pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. You can also subscribe to Radio Hours, just $16 a month, and you get direct access to each week's private Zoom call as well as all the archival recordings of over 200 episodes in our member area. You can join PTRH at the link bit.ly/join PTRH. That's bit.ly/join PTRH. Also, we want to make sure we plug the podcast audio only version of the show. You can find that at pianotechradio.com. And we've been top of the charts in various countries in the performing arts category on iTunes. You have listeners all over the world. Please join us there. Listen while you're in the car, lifting weights, working out, trying to go to sleep, whatever works for you. We'd love to be a part of your life. You can also check out our Substack, which has a blog where we cover mostly advanced topics for piano technicians, but we touch upon other tangential topics that are quite interesting. We might talk about conducting or composing or improvising. So stay tuned to subscribe to Piano Technicians Masterclasses, and you'll get insights on the masterclasses. Usually we do them about monthly. And of course, we have the socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Make sure to check us out there. And of course, you can go to the website, pianotechniciansmasterclass.com, to subscribe to our email list. That'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on. Now, let me introduce our lovely and talented guest for the day, Anna Heller. She's an exceptionally sensitive concert pianist known for her nuanced interpretations and her commitment to contemporary tonal music. Her artistry centers on expressing emotion without words, and her playing reflects this focus with clarity and depth. She is the founder of Moving Classics TV. It's an online platform featuring works from more than 500 contemporary composers. Her collaborations with these composers allow her performances to carry a rare sense of personal connection. In her Munich salon, Anna blends music and literature in a theatrical setting, highlighting influential female voices such as Sappho, Salomé and Anaïs Nin. Her projects Concerti, Illumini, and Sunset Hours combine music with light to create immersive artistic experiences. She is also highly active online, with weekly performances reaching more than 30,000 viewers. Anna, welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. It's a
Uh,
pleasure to be here.
yeah, lovely to have you here. The question I pretty much always launch with is a simple one, but it gives us a very interesting framework to start with. How did music first enter your life when you were a young person or whenever it did? And how did you understand that this was going to become so central to who
Mm.
you are?
Well, I was afraid that you will ask me this question, but I knew that this is kind of a natural to ask because
Mm.
there is also a quite a standard answer to that. That's always written in the curriculum vitae of musicians. And I was even asked to delete it from my curriculum vitae because. It's all very simple. My mom was a musician. She was a pianist, and my sister, who is an elder sister, she's also a musician. So when I was 5, my mom kind of put me at the piano, and that's how it all started. And I was sent to music school, and when you hear music in the family and you're confronted with the opera, and I mean that was my first introduction to music because my mom was working with the little opera house, and
Mm.
I was literally born into the Rigoletto opera, and was of course listening to all the albums that we had at home, and playing through the music that my mom had. And it kind of was my best occupation, just to read any music that I find. And because she had a very big library, I was playing all the new music every day, new piece. That's how I learned to appreciate music. And yeah, that was the first introduction to music. But of course,
Wonderful
in real
opportunity.
life, it's a little bit more complicated than that because, as we grow older, I had several stages of falling out of love with music and then falling in love with music again. And basically, I found my new connection to music in the last 15 years, where I actually started doing it on a more conscious level.
Mm. It's interesting, that that story does happen. I think it's bound to happen whenever you're so heavily, introduced into a domain. It's bound to happen that there's going to be a rebellious stage, just by the nature of the
Yeah.
fact that you don't know anything else. So you gotta, as a person, as a human being, you gotta test the boundaries and see like what else is out there and try to understand how much of this is, your passion versus somebody else's, or what is your particular voice versus somebody else's. So
Oh
yeah, I
yeah,
hear
and
that.
especially you mentioned this your own voice, and I think this is the most important thing because the older I get, the more I understand that the only purpose of being a musician is to give something to people,
Mm.
and not to replicate, not to reproduce something that my teachers kind of crammed into my head, but just to create something new, something of value, and something that's kind of a sustainable, something that's lasting, basically to create an impact. And the words are kind of simple to convey, but to really mean that, I think it takes time, it takes maturity, and it takes also practice. And this is something that any musician is going through, and that's why I really like crisis because the crisis bring us to the next level. And I mean, for me it's absolutely clear, I live for music, I live for piano. I feel the happiest when I give concerts and when I share my joy of playing with others. And I find it's really well, it's luck and it's privilege to be able to do it.
Absolutely. Let's listen to something. So we
Yeah.
have a few samples of your work.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you have anything that feels most appropriate for the moment here? We have
Um,
the echoes of
yeah,
the
let's
monastery.
do that. Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
should we
Let's do that.
start with
Yeah.
that one?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Let me do a
Sure.
screen
Yeah.
share. Screen share it. And we'll get there. We'll make sure the audio is on. We'll get that going. You can see the YouTube video, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, here we go. Very nice.
Oh, thank you, thank you. It's one of my favorite compositions too at the moment by Alana Crouch. Yeah, it's really peaceful piano, and it's part of the project Echoes of the Monastery, inspired by the Gregorian chant. So that was the idea, to find inspiration in the calm music and in the roots of the old monasteric environment, and just to create something that's contemporary, something that's a part of our life today and for the contemporary listeners. So.
Tell us about the setting there. It's just a very beautiful spot, and it's fun to see I don't know if fun is the right word, but there's something touching about seeing the rain in the background
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
intense weather, and it also gives you something to reflect upon. And it's interesting there with the monastic theme as well, you know.
yeah.
Um,
That's true. It was really the weather was exactly perfect for this music. I also notice now, because I kind of forgot about the setting, but it made it really kind of special. Mhm.
what is the setting there? Is that a performance space? Is that
Well, yeah, I
home
mean
piano? Like what is that?
it's a private room, so to
Hmm.
say. It belongs to kind of a business event center,
Okay.
and there is Steinway there, which is
Hmm.
really good. Yeah?
Yes.
And it's fun to play there because I really like this, the windows. Which is really special, because usually all the concert halls, they're all like dark, and they're all closed, and I really like more open spaces, and I like seeing nature, because it's important to be connected with the nature, to kind of recreate the connection between the piano sound, right, which is actually also physics, part of nature, and of course to see the nature. And because I do moving classics recordings there, and it's always different time of the year, so sometimes you could even see there are some videos where you could see the butterflies and they
Wow.
were reflected on the grand piano, and it's really it's special. You cannot recreate it because it's part of the of the setting.
That's really great. Tell us about the modern classics sort of idea that of using starting the channel
Mm-hmm.
and and the impetus for that and how it's grown and
Sure.
developed over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually interesting how it started, because first, of course, I had this kind of a need to find something, to do something different, right? And at the same time, I was active in social media and Facebook, and I learned Piotr Lachert, Polish composer who was actually a founder of consonant music. Maybe you heard of it. They are based in Holland, and he started it in the 80s. And his idea was to have a kind of contrast music to this atonal and this Darmstadt school, etc. So he really wanted kind of a tonal consonant music. And when I met him, he kind of introduced me into this world, and he said, "Look, contemporary music can also be interesting. You shouldn't be afraid of it." And he would send me examples, and like step by step. I thought, "Wow, I know nothing about it, because I couldn't name composers," and so I got curious, and then step by step. I started discovering, and at the same time, I had a chance to record music, and I thought, why not share it with others? Because if I didn't know anything about this music, then others should learn. So I started searching for composers and asking them, writing to them, and of course learning the music. So now it's over 500, I think, because it's also over 8 years that I've been doing it, and it's really a long time. But it's really incredible experience to and honor, to meet so many interesting voices of today, and sometimes be the first to play and record their music. I mean, I find it's really a privilege.
Congrats on the success there. I would like to shift topics a little bit to just the general topic of creativity. I know that's something that's important to you. That's something that I'm passionate about. Creativity happens in so many different domains, and I love exploring how to stimulate creativity and explore there. So, what's been your involvement in in the field of creativity?
Through the conversations with composers and also the interviews that I did with them, I collected information, and this information I processed, and from their answers, I could see that there are also some, I call it kind of a method, and I call it creativity codes, and they are the creativity triggers, maybe it's the better word, and I kind of selected 10 of them, and they are used so that creativity is not spontaneous process. It's really a methodology, and it can be used also by others. And I also created some kind of I call it creativity break. That's also the format for example, for businesses or for people who want to learn about creativity, because I share this knowledge with them, and this way it's kind of a bridge between composers, music, and also, let's say, everyday life or business. You wouldn't believe it, or maybe you would, because you're also an expert, but the first creativity code is passion.
And tell us a little bit more about how that gets implemented, the first creativity code of passion.
Well,
so
yeah,
what kind of, do business people do things with that? Musicians do things with that? Where do you start from with that?
Yeah, usually, I mean, passion is of course, it's kind of, you can say this is the prerequisite. Usually, I say that if you want to do something creative, you need to find emotional touch points. I mean, this is something that I try to do. So it's a kind of a quick fix when I, for example, want to create a new interpretation, and I don't get this feeling that it's basically to get yourself in the flow, right? So that you are so involved in this, so that everything is so light and so easy. But in order to get there, I create emotional touch points. So I try to reconnect myself, and I remember the moments where I was in the flow, or I try to reflect myself when I felt very passionate about something. And then I recreate this feeling when I do something new. And this way it kind of produces more energy, and energy is all we need to start the creative process going. It's like the first step. So, I mean, this is a very, very short explanation, but that's it really does help, because it's many things are just mindset.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'd love to transition to listening to another piece here. It's about 6 or 7 minutes, so we may not listen to the whole thing, but we have Anton Batagov, letter from Sergei Rachmaninoff to Ludovico Einaudi. Anything you want to say up front before we dive in and listen a little bit?
Yeah, Anton Batagov is currently in the United States and meeting with Philip Glass. It's kind of he is let's say student of Philip Glass, and but he has a very original music, I find. And this is one of my favorite pieces of him. I played it yesterday too. I played a candlelight concert in a castle, and it was my encore. So usually I finish it with this music because it has something very optimistic. It has also a mixture between this Rachmaninoff melodic structure and Einaudi very minimalistic, very new neoclassic mix. But this is really interesting.
Let's take a listen. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It sounded really peaceful. Now I play it a little bit faster and with more energy, but it changes. Mm.
Tell me about just your general experience here as a musician in the modern age. You know, it's a totally different landscape than it was when Rachmaninoff was a musician, you know. What's been your experience and your trajectory here? How have you
Yeah.
made yourself fit?
Well, you say that it's all evolving, and even I personally, I noticed several changes because when I started, it was a different different setup, and then all the several things happening, corona happening, all the changes now. So the business is evolving. It's never it's never the same, and we all have different realities, so to say. Because I mean, my reality is I am a freelancer. I'm a concert and event pianist. And I need to kind of find my balance in this world, which is full of competition. On Monday in Munich, we had three big pianists who were giving concerts on the same day. So imagine in biggest halls that we have here. So we calculated there were 6,000 people attending these concerts because they were
Wow.
also full, they were sold out. So you cannot really say that people don't go to piano music, but it doesn't mean that when I do the concert, I get the audience. So, which means that my audience is different, and my event managers are also different. And then 3 years ago, I started working with Candlelight Fever, and this is for me the biggest mystery that I experience because their concerts, they are also huge halls, sometimes 800 people, and we have two sessions during the evening. So, which means that you can attract people when you
Mhm.
offer them something that interests them. And we get really the average age is not 100, it's something like 30, 35. And I'm fascinated by this because it's possible, which means that everything that I do, I need to make sure that I kind of stay alive in this business where you have big players, where you have really atrocious competition, where everybody is better, or at least that's how you feel. And you need to find your clients, you need to find your audience, you need to find locations, and of course to give the programs that you can sell or tickets for, which means you have a really busy day from morning till evening till you get it all right. And of course you never get it all right. But by the end of the day, I still think that the best way is to have your own series of concerts, to have your own program, because the only thing that you own. And this is the best feeling,
Mm.
at least for me.
And how connected do you feel you are able to get to your audience? You know, these days, like I have a podcast, right? And it's like I only find out here and there when somebody, oh yeah, I listened. Oh, you did? Okay. But do you get to meet people, engage with them online? I don't know if you maintain like an email list, maybe people make YouTube comments, but how do you feel is your ability to engage with that audience and find out more about who they are?
Yeah, let me tell you something about the engagement with the people, because at the concerts, usually at the end of the concert, I always say, please contact me, write me in my social media accounts, and tell me what is your experience with this and that, and what does it mean for you. And people write, but there is also this, let's say, a trend. I mean, it's not really the trend, because it always existed, but now you have it all black and white, because people give you ratings, they give you official feedback. And
Mm,
this feedback is also visible online sometimes, so you
right.
can Google it all. So you really do get feedback. And this
Right.
is really, it's actually interesting, because I went through several stages
Hmm.
of dealing with this feedback, because
Mm.
I mean, of course, we know it, that the negative feedback overweighs everything.
Oh, right.
Even if you have like nine really fantastic comments, and you have
Right.
one, you think
Right.
about this one, and you
Right.
really
Right.
want to make sure that you kind of correct that, or why.
Yes.
And and it's really, how do you turn this negativity into something positive, because
Right.
sometimes there is also some truth in this comment, because
Uh-huh.
there is always motivation behind. Is it like somebody wants to have my job, or somebody yeah, of course, or somebody wants to express something, or attract attention, and so on and so forth. So I think I have been thinking a lot about the reasons why people listen to this or that artist, or why do they buy a ticket, because I kind of realized that even for them, it's not only the price of the ticket itself, it's also the price of the time, or the
Mm.
money value of time that they also spend, which makes it even higher.
Hmm.
And so I kind of try to find an answer to that.
Mm.
So, for example, my own concert series at the moment is with peaceful piano music. I still haven't found the right model for that, because it's pretty hard to define the target audience.
Mm.
When you compare, like really, the successful musicians, right?
Hmm.
You always see that they have a very clear profiles, they have very clear audiences, right?
Hmm.
And then you kind of think, where do I find myself? And I try to analyze for myself how to find this audience. And then it gets really tricky, because you kind of think, okay, who might be interested in peaceful piano music? And then you think, okay, maybe, I don't know, women at certain age. Well, but and then you get like 90% men or something. So
Hmm.
it's always kind of, it's not that what you thought it would be. And
Right.
which makes it a little bit difficult, but this is also part of the creative search, you know
Yeah,
and
it's a
of course, I mean,
discovery process.
yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, I resonate with you there. I think, I mean, it's people encounter this with anything, whether they're creating a product or a business or music or art or, and especially online, there's a lot of sorting the signal from the noise, as they say. Because if you try to be whatever's the most popular thing, there's so many odd popular things that you you
yeah.
know that don't even really make sense. They just sort of got popular because they were different. And so I think my take is I think following the advice that a lot of people give of, well, the negative comments just don't even read them. Um, and focus on the strengths, like focus on who's most enthusiastic and go, drive harder in the direction of what is working and what's positive and who's there. But I agree with you. It's I think the point that's interesting here is that it's a journey now that almost every musician has to face that you didn't used to have to. Yeah, you used to just
Yeah.
be in your little town, or you used to need to go to impress the A&R person at the record label or something. There was a certain path there. Now the path is I have to figure out like who my audience is and how it fits into this greater landscape of things that are working and things that aren't. And it does seem like it often is counterintuitive once you really, if you figure anything out, it's like, oh, well, I would never thought it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also understood something really interesting. There's this economics Nobel Prize winner this
Okay.
year.
Okay.
He kind of proved or explained the situation we are currently in,
Hmm.
because he showed that in the situation where we have too much competition, it's
Hmm.
actually counterproductive for innovations. So the more competition you have, the harder it is to introduce new things, innovative things, because the costs are extremely high. So basically, you turn back to the traditional, to standard products. When there is, of course, no competition, then there is also no innovation, because there is no incentive or no reason for you
Mm.
to start experimenting. So the best
Hmm.
is kind of somewhere in the middle, but we have extreme competition, and it's
Yeah.
also kind of a little bit not good for introducing new ideas, new formats, new concepts.
Yeah, that's interesting. It reminds me of I had a conversation. It's going to seem totally different, but I see the connection. I had a conversation with a gentleman who was very successful in the video game industry. And the
Mhm.
type of games you play on your phone and you can play with other people all over the world, right? And he said one of the biggest problems that a good game solves is matching players to one another in the platform. And the issue is if you play against someone who's too much better than you get
Mhm.
discouraged and you don't want
Yeah.
to play that game anymore because they're just too good.
Mhm.
But if you play with somebody who is not at your level, it's also annoying. You don't want to play the game anymore because it's too easy. And
Mhm.
so the secret sauce that is still being figured out is that matching players together so that everybody can play where they lose just enough to want to win more,
Mhm.
and they win just enough to feel they have confidence to, to try to keep trying. So it
Yeah.
sounds like a similar issue, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like listening to the world best class pianist, for example. I mean, I think you could feel discouraged the next day.
Hmm.
So, but how to find this right inspiration? Because sometimes you get this inspiration and then you come home and you find this piece of music and then you just play and you really want to master it, and rather than come home and say, well, I'll never play like Sokolov, so it doesn't matter. Why bother?
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think we're in alignment that more people, I feel it's beneficial for everyone if we can find ways that more people can access their own creativity and
yeah,
be inspired to create, to make music, to make art, whatever. I think the right now the landscape is such that we have these larger corporations that produce perfect things. It's the perfect movie production, it's the perfect,
exactly.
sound production. And then what it does is it makes the average person say, I tried that or that, and I'm not going to try anymore because that's the level, that's the standard. And people need to be more comfortable also with whatever standard they're at, still making something and loving it and
Yeah.
being passionate about it. And you never get to those advanced stages if you don't get through the stages where it feels difficult and imperfect and, not quite right.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you because I was also thinking the other day, all the programs that I present, they should be at a very high level. But, if you start presenting a new program, you should have played it at least 15 times. That's what I read, which means that I need to practice it somewhere, but not practice like at home in my pajama. I need to practice it, play it for people. But where do I play it? Because even the small locations, they expect the perfect product, which makes it this entry level barrier very, very high.
Yeah. Comedy, at least I don't know what it's like in Germany with comedy, but comedy has a very nice model for that. Is
Oh, okay.
you have these little clubs all throughout the country, and that's how the great comedians develop their sets, as they call it. They go around, they play in this little club, and yeah, they make a few, they try a new thing out, they see if people laugh. If they do, they make a note, okay, that was good. If they didn't laugh, they try it again, they workshop it, right? And that's a very interesting point. There's not really spaces for musicians to do the same, and there's not a tolerance for, hey, I'm
Exactly.
working this out, I'm working on something, and an audience that says, I love to hear it anyways, because in some ways, I think people like to, if there's a positivity to it, people want to hear the process. They want to be behind the scenes. They want to hear the thing while it's still developing before it becomes, a TV special or something like that. But that's a good point. There's not a lot of spaces for that,
No, no, no.
especially in the classical domain.
Yeah,
I think
well,
if you have a rock band or something, maybe there's a lot of opportunities. But as a classical musician, not so much.
yeah, because in this pop music domain, you have this first band that plays, and then the big star arrives. And
Yeah.
imagine doing that. I mean, of course, if you're the winner of a competition, yes, of course. I mean, there are like young stars or the future stars. So there is a possibility, but then you're already at a very high level, and which makes it a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I haven't found the solution for this one.
It's good to bring the problem to the fore. I want to listen to this last piece that we wanted to check out. It's a Gershwin piece, which sounds fun.
Yes, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So The Man I
Mhm.
Love, we're going to bring that up. Anything you want to say
Yeah.
before I cue that one up?
Yeah, I chose this video because it was also part of my experiments where I wanted to make classical music more interesting and kind of do video clips of the famous tunes. And so
Okay.
just
All
enjoy The Man I Love, Gershwin.
right, perfect. Yeah.
It was inspired by Great Gatsby and
Okay,
Fitzgerald.
wonderful. Um,
Thank you.
Getting some
That
nice
was
feedback
fun.
already. Is this actually the man that you love in the video? That's my burning
Oh,
question. Is this
well,
an
that's
actor or
yeah, that's the mystery. That's a
that's the
Great
mystery?
Gatsby, the
Okay, all
Great Gatsby, the one and
right.
only. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, well, yeah, I appreciate you putting that together. And of course, I'm a jazz aficionado, so I like a little Gershwin. Now, the arrangement of that piece, is that by anyone in particular? Or is it just sort of a standard arrangement? I'm not sure.
The arrangement, oh, that's Gershwin himself.
With
That's
Gershwin
the
himself.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he has the whole book with a solo piano arrangement. So yeah, yeah, they're really cool to play. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Um, we'll be wrapping up in about 5 or 10 minutes, so we'll maybe have
yeah.
a question or two more, and then we'll start
Sure.
to sign off. Anything that we didn't cover today that you wanted to chat about? No pressure there. I've got more questions, but just want to make sure we fit things in.
Sure. Yeah. Well, basically, my dream is to have a kind of a better visibility for moving classics composers because I have the core of moving classics composers with whom I communicate, but we need to grow more momentum so that we are taken as a community. So for the next year, this is like my goal to work on getting more visibility for moving classics and also getting kind of a cluster, so that we can inspire each other and also grow new audience. So that's basically my goal for next year.
That sounds like a good goal.
Yeah.
Appreciate that one. Um, I think before we head out, let me ask just sort of a random question here. Um, what have you learned recently that you find particularly interesting or inspiring about music, about some other domain in your explorations?
Well, yeah, at the moment, I'm more like into the deep psychology. I'm learning more about my audience and I'm learning how to accept them, which means how to make myself stronger as a performer and to build up on my confidence. So, this is something that I'm working on. But in order to do that, I reflect. About the concerts that I'm playing. I analyze and I try to learn every time I give a concert,
Hmm.
and I always ask myself a question about the motivation. What people accept? What do people expect from me?
Hmm.
So, and I try kind of to bridge this both, which is kind of a process that's never stopping. But this is just been on my mind the last month.
Hmm. Yeah, that's we kind of touched upon it earlier, but it's such a
Yeah.
fascinating domain. Yeah, there's it reminds me though, I listened to this producer. His name's Rick Rubin.
Oh
He
yeah.
produced, you know who Rick Rubin is? Yes.
Of
Um,
course.
Produced, some of the most
Yeah.
phenomenal records in history, really, at least
Yes.
recent history.
He's
And
guru.
yeah, have you read his book or listened to his
It's on
podcast?
my desk. I read it every day, a
Oh,
little.
wonderful.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that, based on what you say, what you're talking about too, is there's this balance, right? Because his thing was always bringing the musicians into the studio and trying to get them away from trying to make something that, they've got to get it right. It was more, let's give you the space to be yourself, right?
Mhm.
Just to like not think and just play the music. You're not trying to make a hit. You're not trying to connect with an audience. You're not trying to do anything except just let what's in here come out, right?
Mhm.
And so it's interesting dichotomy, right? Because you also do as a performer, as a musician, especially in the early stages, right? When you're learning something, you need to observe yourself. You need to observe other people and their reactions, and you need to kind of tweak things from that perspective. So it's a delicate balance. But
It is, and I also spoke about it yesterday. I also did Linkin Park concert, and I speak about Ricky because I mentioned this third album. But what I don't say, and that's what we know, that the popularity of Linkin Park was sinking, and that was also during the work with Ricky Rubin. So
oh,
which makes me a little bit concerned because, of course, you need to have your own space. But as YouTube says in the suggestions, they say, well, there is very few people in your niche who are interested. So,
mm,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a delicate balance, but I do think I've learned this in the podcasting space, and I have a friend, and he's actually quite influential, um, and he does blogging, and he doesn't do podcasting per se these days, but he sort of has a little recurring show he does that's more private, right?
Okay.
And the private show is really, and he has guests and things like this, really only an audience of a couple hundred people, on the audience. And in his blog, there may not be a huge amount of people as well, maybe a few hundred. But the people might be billionaires or, very influential
Mhm.
people, or they're in the government, or. And he's in business. So it's sometimes it makes sense to figure out the niche and then
Yeah.
mine the niche as opposed to aim for, global status. And then sometimes even through that, once you mine the niche and you connect with the very core audience, that's when, if it's going to expand, it does, because you found the
Mhm.
germ of, what really, resonates with a certain type, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of how, like, it wasn't cool to be a nerd before the 80s. And then all of a sudden it became like the coolest thing to be a nerd.
Yeah, it is.
Computers and,
Of
science and all
course,
this stuff.
yes.
Things start small and then they grow.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
well, thank you for sharing about your experience and being transparent about everything, and
Yeah.
bringing a lovely audience of enthusiastic folks to the show today. Any last things you want to share? Tell people places to go, a website, a social media, an album, or anything, or
Yeah,
you share it
moving
all?
classics is the place. So
Okay.
thank you for inviting me and thank you also for listening. And
Mhm.
it's been pleasure talking to you and thank you for your time.
Wonderful. Okay, we have reached the end of another musical journey here at Piano Tech Radio Hour. Thank you so much, Anna, for joining us today, as well as our live audience here. As always, we're brought to you by Piano Technicians Master Classes, and that's cutting edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. If you joined us today just by signing for this session individually, make your life more convenient. You could subscribe to Piano Tech Radio for just $16 a month. You get the recording of today's session in a member area, as well as automatic registration for each week's new session. Sign up at bit.ly/join PTRH, bit.ly/join PTRH. Don't forget about the podcast, audio only versions, the Substack blog, the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, the email list you can access at the website. And we'll see you again next week. Anna, if you don't mind, I'm going to close the Zoom, but jump back on the Zoom link and, do a quick wrap up. But everyone else, we'll say goodbye. Thank you.